Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. So in this video, I'm just going to take a quick look at Blackpool. So I think what's interesting about this is not particularly Blackpool as a kind of organisation itself, but it's the way in which NFTs, non-fungible tokens, particularly from games, blockchain games, are very quickly become seen as this kind of investment asset. So in a sense, everything on the blockchain, anything on any blockchain is, can be treated as an investment asset in the sense that, every token has a price and the price goes up and down. So everyone gets very excited about investing in these things or trading or all the usual stuff. And we've now seen that flow into kind of NFTs, I guess, particularly driven by the kind of, the more art side of things. So stuff like CryptoPunks is now very much seen as kind of one of the kind of best things to invest in, really on a blockchain, even better than tokens maybe in terms of their value and how they can be used. So in a sense, it's not surprised that some of these kind of crypto friendly organizations and investors are now actively then going out to start building kind of funds or building businesses around building NFT funds. And we've seen it, I guess, from the kind of crypto whales, the kind of the whale sharks and the Pranksies and the Metaperses, and those generally are individuals who have a lot of crypto value and have been buying up NFTs and becoming sort of collectors of art and collectors of NFTs. And now we're seeing it kind of more professionalized. I'm not going to go into too much detail about kind of Blackpool. I mean, I don't know them or anything. This is just from their Medium, but we can see here. Blackpool is a fund. A fund just means they're going to have some money associated with it, and then they're going to be trading in and out of this. And presumably, it means it doesn't really say. Presumably, high wealth individuals can kind of buy into this fund as liquidity providers. Potentially, because it's on a blockchain, they could create a token backed. They could kind of generate a token backed by this fund. Lots of things you can do on the blockchain that you can't really do in the real world. But what's interesting here is this is these are the first projects that they're looking to invest in. So it's particularly, they're very heavily into SoRare. So SoRare is a fantasy soccer game where you have cards based on the cards of the individual players, and you build little teams around them, and you can kind of win rewards for that. Obviously, Axie Infinity, we kind of know about Axie Infinity, and they're talking about they're going to kind of have sets of axes, then they're going to use those to earn this small love potion, which you can then can sell on or use to breed more axes. Decentraland, a kind of metaverse, so you can own bits of land and then build things on it. And then Super Rare is the, I guess, still seen as the premier kind of place for crypto art. So all the art on Super Rare is single edition, so there's no multiple editions. So who are the Blackpool people? So Stake Capital, Fabric Ventures, Stake DAO. So some of these people, some of these kind of organisations are fairly well known. Actually, Stake Capital, I think Stake DAO is also doing some DeFi stuff. They just launched that. So these are heavily in the blockchain space. So what they're going to be doing, so particularly SoRare, so they're going to build a selection of star players to win these tournaments, and win the ETH and the card rewards, and also by them getting involved in this, they're driving the long-term value of SoRare. So it's kind of like a win-win. They can win some stuff, and they can also, by getting involved, drive up the price of SoRare cards. And in fact, it's interesting that Blackpool, as we'll look at, actually currently own the two most expensive SoRare cards. So they actually kind of acquired. They have actually sort of hired some of the best players of SoRare to kind of be their experts. So what they're going to also do, take arbitrage opportunity. So if they think they've got something they can make money on, buy and sell cards on player news. That's kind of the same as arbitrage, I suppose. Arbitrage here between primary and secondary market. So SoRare at the moment is quite a lot of sales from the developer. So a primary market is when the developer sells to the audience, the players, and the secondary market is trading between players. Obviously scouting young talent and buying cards early. So that kind of makes sense. We can see here another thing they've done is they've financed this account. So this is, I guess, is an individual who has already got. Well, obviously this is this ETH to dollar ratio is now wrong. But anyway, so they're funding people already into SoRare. Yeah, not really going to go into any of this sort of stuff, but we can actually have a look here. So this is the cool thing about it here. So if we go to Blackpool Finance and look at their metrics, because they want to be transparent, and I assume this is transparent. You can. This is the live metrics for the stuff that they own. So we can see here, there's three projects that they are currently invested in. So they said Decentraland and Axie, but they've not done that or SoRare. At least they're not showing this on this metric. I mean, obviously they could have been invested already, but we can see here they split down into projects. So they have two managers in SoRare, basically these people who they have kind of acqui-hired, who were already in the game, and this is in dollars. So they've got $1.1 million of value in the SoRare game. Cometh is a sort of a new game. It's kind of a game DeFi farming sort of project. It's a bit like the meme art project, but this is for some sort of game, although we haven't seen the game yet. And it has you have these NFT spaceships. They've got 7 of those. They've got Must is the token, the ERC20 token that you use, and that mines you dust, and you use dust to buy spaceships. So that's kind of showing what they've got there. So $712,000. And they've also just, obviously Hashmaster's just blown up as a project, an art project, a bit like kind of, well, people are comparing it, I guess, to the next generation of a CryptoPunk. So you can see here they own 20 hash masks. They're saying the floor value of those. They're simply just taking a floor value here, which is a bit weird because you could probably do a better valuation on. They've only got 20, so you could probably work out some of these are going to be more expensive than others depending on the rarity and such like. Anyway, so they've got $17,000 based on that. So $3 million in total they've invested so far, which isn't massive in the big scheme of things, but it's still $3 million. So we can have a look here and we can kind of see. It's quite nice where it takes a bit of time to load, but you can look at their. Right, so the cards come in. So they have this Bruno Fernandes card. So that some of these you can see some of these are unique. Some of them are. Let's have a look if we can find. Some of them not unique. I think the unique ones. I think there's different rarities, obviously, and I think the unique ones means there's only one in that particular class. So you can see they're buying kind of high-end cards. Anyways, Bruno Fernandes one. He plays for Man United now, but this is when he was playing for Sporting Lisbon. So this is kind of an old one, but Man United aren't supported in the game yet, so this is the only Bruno Fernandes kind of you got. And then the other one is, let me see. So they've got these two kind of account managers, they call them, for SoRare. So the second one here, and this is the Mbappe card. So that's the most expensive one, and the Bruno Fernandes is the second most expensive one. Yeah, so all these ones are unique. You can see here. So these are one-offs. So there's only one of these in this season. Obviously, every new season they're going to generate a new card because players move clubs and stuff. And that's always been my kind of issue with valuing fantasy sport games, because basically every season you kind of have to rebuy your set. So this one here is super rare. So that means, I think, rare means unique means there's one. Super rare means I think it's 1 of 10. And rare means it's 1 of 100, something like that. Anyway, so we can see here kind of what they've got there. Let's have a quick look at Cometh, which is this spaceship game. So you can see here they've got these, and these are actually they don't look very impressive, but these are very valuable at the moment. And then their hash masks. We can see the hash masks that they've got. Interestingly, they haven't named any of their hash masks yet. So one of the interesting things about hash masks is you can change the name, but only one hash mask out of the 16,000 can have a name. So you can't have two hash masks called Trump. You can only have one called Trump. You can have one called Donald Trump, obviously, and one called Trump. But so there's some interesting stuff going on around here, but they've obviously not got into the kind of creative side of naming it, which is kind of one of the interesting bits. Anyway. So that's kind of interesting. So again, not particularly interesting for what Blackpool are doing, although I think what they are doing is interesting in and of itself. But I guess it's more interesting that we're going to see, I think, more of these kind of projects, these kind of investment projects. Obviously, we're going to start to see more kind of venture companies coming in to the blockchain space. And it's a bit different because you don't own equity in the same way you would do in the traditional space. You might want to own tokens, as in cryptocurrencies, of projects, but equally a lot of projects now are NFT based, so it's an interesting new kind of situation for these kind of projects. And obviously people at the moment probably it's impossible to invest in something that doesn't make you money because all these NFT things are currently going up. Obviously, at some point they'll peak and go down again, or find their equilibrium. But it is interesting, I think, and the main interesting thing here I find is the transparency of it. So we can see here, what these kind of smart investors are doing, what projects they're investing in. We can immediately see what they've got if we assume they are being truly transparent and not lying to us. And you can kind of, I guess you can't front run them, but you can kind of start to get an idea for us kind of less experienced investors, perhaps. Not that you wouldn't necessarily want to copy anyone else's strategy, but it is interesting to see kind of the sort of stuff they're doing. Although it is also important to note things like Cometh. Some of these projects will be trying to kind of bootstrap things they think are good by buying into them early, and because they bought into them early, that will then potentially drive other investors into them, because they'll say, oh, look, Blackpool are buying Cometh, whereas that could be a dangerous thing to do, because Cometh might not be a good project in the long term. So you have to be a little bit careful. You can't just kind of copy other strategies. But it is interesting to see other strategies that people are doing around the NFT space. So interesting from that point of view. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. This is Blockchain Gaming World, looking at what's going on, and it's all going on. So please subscribe to the channel. But thanks for watching, and see you again soon.